Well, if you're interested in the songwriting process and how that might be done with friends who maybe don't live in the same town as you, maybe they live across oceans on the other side of the world, for the last 3 years, that is exactly what I've been doing. I've been writing and recording songs from this very room with other friends and co-writers who live all over the world. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through my process with actually one of my co-writers who does live oceans away, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, Bron. Hey, Bron, I'm so glad you could join me today for this video.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Bron is a talented singer, songwriter, vocalist, lyricist, piano player from Melbourne, Australia. And so with me being here in Virginia, one of the very first things we need to deal with when we're writing across oceans is timing for when we're going to meet. And generally what it means is it's morning for one of us and nighttime for the other. So right now, the sun is shining on Bron and the sun has set here in Virginia. But Google's our friend, so we always have to double check our times to make sure we get it right. We still mess it up, and it's been 3 years. So today we're going to talk about your song Go. So this started with a piano idea, right?
Yeah, I had this piano idea that kept coming back to me every time I sat down. I'd start playing it again, and it was like 2 years I had it going in my head, and it started to bug me. I was like, all right, we're going to have to do something with this. So I recorded it and sent it across to Glenn. I'll play you a little bit of it.
Yeah, play a touch. Yeah, I can still hear the magic in it, but it also sounds like it's like a MIDI thing or something right now. Like you said clunky, right? And
it always felt clunky. And I do feel like when I send something like that to you, you often say, oh, I can hear what the magic in that could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Glenn will send something back to me and be like, oh, it could go this way. And I'll go, oh, I can hear where the magic is in that too. We seem to kind of tease the best out of each other.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a good co-writing relationship, and that's why this has worked really well. But you had that idea, and at some point we discovered this really beautiful song by the artist Yebba. She's got a killer voice. It's a live version of a song called October Sky, and I think you found it. Do you remember where you found it or how you came across it?
Yeah, I was just YouTubing, looking at a bunch of different artists, and I love Yebba. I love all that she does. She's got such a beautiful voice, and it had such a cool muted guitar vibe to it. The live version that she did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, here I'll play a tiny bit of it just so that we can kind of get the sense of it. But it was something like. Had that sort of thing, so a little bit of a bounciness to it. And now when I play it, it's like, oh yeah, I can hear Go happening from that. It was like right away there's this connection, and so. At some point you said, what if we try that on guitar, right? The Go idea?
Yeah. I think we just put the two together. We wanted to make something that sounded something like October Sky. And I went, wait, we've already got something here that's a kind of a compound time idea. And maybe this would make it feel lighter and bouncier like we want. So
your piano, we just play the very opening of the piano part? Yeah. So then on guitar, I went, that was the intro. Yeah, so that was sort of the idea. That gave us this bounce. And then we thought, let's keep this acoustic because we've done a lot of cinematic kind of big tracks. So I played my upright bass back there. We kept the guitar, and then you're a great violinist, so we added the violin as well. And we experimented with some different articulations, and it was something I I'm not a string player. Well, I'm playing strings. I'm not a violinist. So I didn't know about this articulation called legno. So
yeah, with the wood. So it means you turn the bow around and you actually hit the strings with the back of the bow, the wood. Feels a little bit, it feels quite a bit bouncier, and you pick up this little metallic pop of when the wood hits the metal of the strings. It's really interesting and a lot more percussive. Oh, I've got my violin here.
If you've got your violin there, pull it up so that we can hear, because I think it did add to that bouncy character, and it also gave it some good percussive, because we didn't add any percussion, and it brings some of that percussive part to the song too.
Yeah, it had that like kind of bouncier vibe. So yeah.
Yeah, so you're literally just hitting the strings with the wood of the bow.
Yeah. It's such a tiny sound, I wouldn't have thought it would get picked up so well by the mic. But then once we added it in, it just had this really light, delicate bounce to it.
Yeah. Well, you know what we should do? Let's go into the Logic track and have a listen. And actually, the mic is up so loud to get that. If people listen, they might catch it. They can hear you breathing while you're playing in the part. So let's check out the Logic session.
Funny.
So here's where the legno violins start, right here in the chorus. So we're going to have a listen. The blue is Bron playing, and the green is MIDI triggered samples from Spitfire. I'll play in a second, but let's have a listen here. You can hear that bounciness. This is Bron. And then here's the Spitfire. So I just mixed those in a little bit. I just feel like it fills out things nicely, but Bron sounds great on her own. And then everything together, let's go back to here.
Don't look the other way.
There you go. That's the legno. All right. So far the elements we have are this kind of a dark, minor-ish, bouncy guitar part. Then we've got a percussive violin with the legno stuff. Then you play some melodies that are very fiddle-like on the violin.
Yeah, I looped what we already had and started playing with improvising a lot on my violin, both on my violin and some backing vocals that I thought we could put in there too.
It's a great way to write melodies, right? Because you get so many tries at it, and you come up with some fun ideas you can really develop, and you really created some lovely melodies. They kind of mirrored some things that you did in the vocals by making use of these open intervals of perfect fourths and perfect fifths. And then you use that in the harmonies as well. And you weren't thinking about that, were you?
It's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny how that happens, because I definitely wasn't thinking that way at the time. But I think we were aiming at this real primal and sort of tribal feeling in the song itself. And I guess that's what I obviously lean towards, is those more open harmonies to create that sort of feeling, that really deep, ancient tribal feeling.
Yeah, kind of takes you there. These open intervals really become apparent when you solo a few things. So here's the background vocals in the last chorus. Have a listen.
I go on.
Okay, so that's a lot of what we call parallel harmony. So I'll put it where Bron's singing it. So you've got this note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they both move up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear that parallel harmony happening there. Then, actually, if I bring you to the beginning of verse 2, which is verse 2 is right here, we've got the violin, and listen to the open intervals the violin plays. So that's this. And I'll switch back to the piano so you can see, but we've got this. then you'll hear. And that's all fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, have a listen again. We'll flip this back. Fifth. Fifth again. So that's right from the very beginning of the song. This is the main melody here. Go, go. So there you go. The fifths are the thing. For the fifths and fourths really do add a lot to the sound of this song. Okay, so now let's talk about how we write melodies and how we record the vocals.
Yeah, so during our sessions, we put together our instrumental part, and then often you'll shoot it over to me and I'll record some things over it. But during the session, I think the biggest challenge that we have is just that little time delay that the internet gives us.
Just slight.
And trying to, it's so frustrating. But we're getting better at reading each other, aren't we?
Yep.
Trying to go, oh, I see where you started that on. Can you clap that so we can work out where you started that phrase? And that would be the one thing that would be, I wish the internet could catch up and get rid of that little half second for us. But
yeah, Virginia to Australia is kind of hard to get around, isn't it?
Yeah, but we work around that by sending each other during the session. We can shoot each other's files and things like that, which is pretty amazing.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah, you'll record something and you'll send it back to me, and then I'll plug that into our Logic session, and we'll kind of keep doing that until we feel like we've got, okay, this is what the vocal is going to be. We got it figured out. Now it's time. Now I'll grab my guitar, my bass, trumpet, whatever else I'm playing, and try and get the solid instrumental performances, polish up any of the MIDI type stuff that's going on, and then from there then we'll set a date to do the vocal session. And that is that feels like that's really the last step of the recording, and that's kind of where to me the magic happens. It's like, now we know the part, now we can sing it and get it nailed in there. So so what happens in that vocal session from your perspective?
Yeah, I find the cool thing that we do is that rather than have me send over the lead vocal all ready to go, we get together and we actually make it a bit like a session, an actual
studio
you're the engineer
session.
And the Zoom system now allows us to have you actually take control here in Australia and be hitting the buttons for me so I can just focus on the vocals, and that's so helpful. And it's also really great to collaborate on the phrasing that we want for that final vocal too. We can talk about it, and I can be singing it one way and you can be making notes and going, what if we tried it just a little gentler or a little more, or what if we put the emphasis on this word instead of that word? And we can collaborate on how we want it to actually finish up. Whilst we've written it together, it's that final performance that really makes all the difference.
And I'm taking notes every time you're performing it. Every take you do, I'm taking notes and start to figure out, okay, this part from take 1 was great. This part from take 3 was great. This part from take 7 was great. And we make a composite of all that, and we put it together, and that's what we use as the final vocal. So here we are. This is actually the vocal session now. This is verse 1, and you can see this is take 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bron only did 4 takes in verse 1. We felt like we got it pretty quickly. Often it's many more than that. We'll do 7, 10, 15 takes. Just depends on if we're getting the performance we want. But you can see we used part of take 2, a little bit of take 3, back to 2, a little bit of take 1, back to 2, and then take 4. But when you punch these all together, it's pretty seamless and you can't really hear it. So let me give you a little sample of that.
There hides a glow that I can see.
So you can't really tell those were happening from different times.
And I would be a shame. Your truth you cannot.
So you hear Bron's breath here. Sometimes wherever this line is, you might get a double breath because you'll get one from each take. So you got to be careful on those. We call that comping, trying to do a good job comping.
Without a kind of compromise.
So that made it pretty easy. So as you can see, pretty seamless to comp those vocals together. Actually, I do a lot of the other instruments, any live instruments I'm playing, guitar, bass, trumpet, any of that stuff, we'll do the same thing. Lots of takes, comp together, and get the best performance possible. So thanks to technology, Bron and I have been able to write and record songs from across the oceans together this way for 3 years now, and we still have not actually met in person. I know her family, her kids know me, but we've never seen each other. It is very funny. So this is a real change to how songwriting has typically been done, and I think it's a real positive one too.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such an empowering thing for indie musicians and artists to be able to, you've got the option of when you work, where you work, how you work, who you work with. You can now work with anyone in the world. I feel like it opens so many doors. And I guess if there's one thing to take away from watching this, you've got to the end of this YouTube video now, it would be go have a shot. I reckon you're probably someone that wants to give it a try, and it can appear like Glenn and I know what we're doing, but we both started in that place of hitting that record button and just giving it a shot, and you just tweak along the way, and it's all about giving it a shot and keep showing up and keep doing the thing. So go hit that button.
Yep, go. Yeah. Nicely done. Well, special thanks to Bron for joining me for today's video, and thanks to you for making it to the very end of this one. If you enjoyed it, a like and a subscribe do sure go a long way in helping this video get recommended to more people like you who enjoy this sort of content. And if you have any questions, feel free, please throw them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them, and I'm sure Bron will jump in as well. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.